Councilman Ballas?
Here.
Councilman Ingalls?
Here.
Councilman Petrusi?
Here.
Councilman Stein?
Here.
Councilman Deschamps? Councilman voted in?
Here.
Council President Cross?
Here. Okay, preliminary announcements. Anybody have any preliminary announcements before we have our guest speak?
Oh, maybe I do. I think the playground's going pretty much up to speed. The girls are getting all the stuff ready, so hopefully we'll be right on track for that, and we'll be opening when we want to for the 4-week period.
I see they're looking for donations for like
They're
some sports
looking for
equipment and stuff.
donation, yeah. We're gonna see what we get there, and we're gonna look for maybe a state grant of some sort if we see what we need.
Joe, I didn't get caught up with it. Did they get that letter to sign it? You know, what do you?
The application?
Application?
I think they did. My computer's been down. So I don't know. I haven't seen it. Have you guys got it? Beck, have you guys got the application and none of that yet? Okay.
That's the application that go out to the kids.
It's gonna go, yeah, well,
For the school.
Mark Fallon has it. That's it. Mark Fallon has it. He's looking it over, make sure everything's all right. I haven't seen it yet
All
either.
right.
When I do, I'll let you guys know. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other preliminary announcements? Okay, we have a guest here. He called me last week. I referred him to Joe so we can get him here. I'm hoping he's here. Fred Laquatudo about bike rentals. Lagatuda, not here. Okay, it was interesting. He called me and was interested in using the space down at the waterfront to maybe put a shed up and store some bikes and get some use out of it, maybe until something happens with the property. But Fred's not here, so we'll move on. Because of the kids meeting next week, I know we had a speaker want to speak on a property issue, right? Yeah, come on up. Just tell the secretary, you know.
Oh, she got me.
You got
I've
her.
been a pain to her recently this week, so she unfortunately knew who I was. First, I want to say thank you to Mr. Barhola for adding me to this evening's agenda and to council for allowing me to speak. The reason for my request is that I had some questions and I'm hopeful for some clarification regarding a retaining wall and parking pad being built at 124 Crawford Street next to my property. It seems like some of the questions have been answered kind of between my brother and the gentleman doing the work. It was not my intention at any time to prevent the owners from building on this property. It's their property, they have a right to, but rather to make sure that it's being done properly and following the codes for all of our sakes. I had contacted the building inspector, Mr. Cannon, well over a year or so ago, and at that time, when it had come to my attention that my neighbors intended to build a retaining wall and backfill and make a parking area. Because the way the property was set up, I had concerns. There's a big drop off from the alley to where this is being done, over 5 feet. I think it's 5 feet or a little more. I was very concerned about water flow and erosion problems as well as safety issues if the work was not done properly. At that time, I contacted Mr. Cannon to ask if they would in fact be permitted, and if not, what would be the proper course of action I'd need to take to avoid confrontation if they just started dumping dirt in the yard. He came to the property, assessed the situation, and told me not to worry about it, that it would not be permitted. And then preparation for the work seemed to stop, so I wasn't concerned. Over a year or more had passed again, and it appeared as though they were prepping the yard to move ahead with the building of the retaining wall and the backfill, and to backfill the property. So I again contacted Mr. Cannon to find out what the proper steps were that I would need to take, since he was the one that told me that this wasn't going to be permitted. This time, however, he indicated that a friend of the property owners had contacted him, and Mr. Cannon did a complete about-face and told me they were allowed to do it and there was nothing I could do. I tried to ask Mr. Cannon what would be done to address my concerns with regard to water runoff onto my property, erosion, safety issues, and he cut me off. He didn't even want to hear it. He said they're allowed to do it. And it was as if I was speaking to a completely different person. And so between myself and another concerned party, who happens to be Miss Peg Farrell, who is the daughter of the 92-year-old woman who lives on the property who resides at the property on the other side of 124 Crawford Street, We've not been able to get clear answers to some of our questions from Mr. Cannon. Ms. Farrell has even directed her questions in writing via email and still has not received a pertinent answer to some of the questions asked. He has answered some, don't misunderstand me, he did not ignore her, but certain questions he did blatantly just ignore, did not answer. And I have copies of those emails. She gave me permission if anyone would like to see them. To sum it up, number one, Ms. Farrell and I both, on separate occasions, were told by Mr. Cannon that a permit was not required for the work being done. This is after they decided they could do it. It was only after Ms. Farrell asked him to consider the code she referenced in her email to him and as to whether or not it applied to our case. This code being PA 40362. I'm not going to read the whole code. I have it written down if anyone would like to see it. In this case, though, she pointed out that there were not one but two surcharge loads that would be supported by this wall. One, the dirt that will be placed between the existing retaining wall and the alley, and the proposed new retaining wall, and also the car or cars, depending on how wide it is, whether more than one would fit, that would sit on this pad. She also pointed out that the retaining wall would in fact be over 4 feet. Mr. Cannon did then agree that a permit was necessary, but Ms. Farrell also sent a right-to-know request for the permit application, and to this day, from what I understand, unless it happened today, she has not received that. Number two, Ms. Farrell also questioned Mr. Cannon if Borough Code Chapter 243 also applied in this case for proper perimeter stormwater drainage, so it will not end up in the neighbor's basements or yards. And this code is also on here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you'd like to see it, I have it in writing. And Mr. Cannon also had it. Mr. Cannon's response to this question was, like I said, the top of the pad will be sloped to drain into the alley. The sides will drain into the yard. Ms. Farrell again asked if drainage from the graded fill and retaining wall are subject to Chapter 243, Section 15. And two, if so, how drainage flowing into the yard meets this code. Again, Mr. Cannon's response was, like I said, the top of the pad will be sloped to drain into the alley. The sides will drain into the yard. As you can see, this does not answer the question asked if it is subject to Chapter 243, Section 15, the sides draining into the yard does not meet the code. And that's what they're saying they still want to do, from what I understand tonight. In closing, my questions then are why Mr. Cannon is not answering the question as to whether the above code applies, and if it doesn't apply, just explain to me why it doesn't apply. Number two, why Mr. Cannon not complied with Ms. Farrell's request for the copy of the permit application, because the permit has been issued. And we have a right to see this, it's a right to know. What type of safety measures will be put into place to keep these vehicles, because I have pictures if you'd like to see them. This is gonna be pretty high, and it's coming right next to my deck. I don't know if any of you would like to see them. Well, you've been in my yard when you did the tour for
The
them.
garden tour, I was there
Yes,
for, yeah.
okay. I don't know.
I mean, I didn't take a look at what was, next
Right,
door.
I'm just
I'll be
saying,
honest
you
with
can
but-
see how close the yards are. I'm not
I
saying
know
these
it's
people
tight.
shouldn't have a right to build in their yard. I'm not saying that at all. They have a right to, it's their home. If they wanna put our parking in that neighborhood is terrible. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
But what I'm asking is to make sure that we are following the codes so that we don't have any problems. Right now, I don't have any problems with water in my basement. Mrs. Farrell has no problems. She had a French drain done back in 1976. We had one, I couldn't even tell you how long, just to make sure we didn't have any problems. And we don't have any. I don't want to see it happen. And it'll hurt our property value when we go to sell our homes. People don't want homes that have water in the basement. My husband's worked very hard on our house. He's worked very hard on our yard. I don't want to see it damaged. Also, like I said, the way our deck is, if you look at those pictures, my concern is this thing's going to be up pretty high. It's going to come close to where my deck is. What are they going to do to prevent a vehicle, say something happens, that breaks, that something happens with the brakes, they don't stop. What are they going to put up around there that will keep it from coming over into my yard or onto my deck, whatever, possibly cause damage to not only my property, my more concerned is people. You know what I mean? If it's because of the height. I don't have a problem with them doing it. I just would like to know if they could have given us the drawings to show us what their ideas were. Tonight, I will say, my brother and the gentleman that's doing the contracting work, they've talked, and a lot of my questions were answered. Not all of them. And that's what I would like to just be assured, that our properties are protected and that our safety is protected. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying these guys shouldn't do this. And I don't understand why Mr. Cannon first told me it couldn't be done. And, you know, don't worry about it. And then all of a sudden, a turnabout tell me it can. That concerns me. Why? You know? I just want some questions answered, please.
Sure. I do not ever remember me telling her that it couldn't be done because our code clearly states you could have garages, carports, street parking. Mr. Capola, who's the actual contractor, called me around 4 weeks ago. He asked me to come up and look at the site. So I said, yeah, I'll meet you up there. He told me to eat the site, so I went up and looked at it. He said, here goes what I plan on doing. Are we able to do it? I said, absolutely. I said, if the retaining wall's over 4 foot high, you're gonna have to get a building permit. He said, okay, as soon as I start working on it, I'll make sure I come up and take care of it. So we're right there. I asked Lenny, who's the contractor, to come and speak tonight, and tell everybody what he plans on doing. He's a local contractor. He has liability insurance. He came and got a permit. You're allowed to have off-street parking. It's gonna be a simple, what Lenny will tell you is a simple build. It's gonna be a 12 by 20 car pad, pour. One car with a retaining wall in front. We have them all over Munhall. We were just down on 18th Avenue yesterday. I took Jason in the back. There was 4 cars parked pretty much on the same thing, even a higher elevation. There's no barrier or anything. I mean, could I have Letty talk, please?
Okay,
Yeah,
can
okay.
wait, can I just want to say one thing, because number one, as God is my witness, you did say that, sir, and that's okay.
Would
You-
never ever tell anybody in Munhall that they couldn't have a carport, because we have them all over.
No, no, no.
Or
I
a
didn't
slab.
say you said
I think
it.
Joe Verhola last week asked me, hey, could my brother or someone that he knew, could they put a pad in front of their house? I said, as long as they don't block the front door.
Sir, I never said you didn't say someone could never have a carport. You came up and looked at that property and said it would not be done, it couldn't be done. Don't worry about
I
it.
was never up there. Lenny
Well-
told me, he explained to me where it was in Lydia. That was the first time I was up there. So Lenny, can you please
Oh,
talk?
excuse me, are you really saying that's the first time you were ever up there? You know what, I'm not even gonna go any further because this
First time I
is,
was ever up there when Lenny called me and asked me if you could put a carport on there.
oh my
Or a
Lord,
car tab.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cannon, you're blatantly lying.
Okay.
Whoa, whoa,
Well,
whoa,
we
whoa,
can't,
whoa,
you know, we don't need
You know
to-
what, I'm
Please don't
done,
do
if
this.
this is how
Please
things
don't
are
do
done
that.
here, I'm not saying for the rest of you, but obviously, this is unbelievable to me,
I
I
would
can't.
never tell anyone they could not put a,
Sir, I didn't say you told him he couldn't do it, I'm telling you, I'm saying what you said to me. And you know what, all I'm saying now, you know my concerns, and when he's saying about the permit only came about when Ms. Farrell sent him an email, and he agreed that the wall was higher, and he went up and measured. It was because of her email to him. And as I said, I have the emails here, you are welcome, she gave me permission to give them to you. I am not gonna stand up here, this was not my intention to stand up here and argue, and it was not my intention to say that this person could not do what he wants to do. I just wanna see it done properly for all of the neighbors, you know, out of respect, not just out of respect, just because we need to be good neighbors and protect each other. That's how that neighborhood is. But Dave, I'm sorry, I am totally disappointed. I have nothing else to say, but thank you so much for your time, and
Can we bring Mr. Capola up, that way he can explain what
Yeah.
he's
I-
doing?
and as I said, he and
you
my
may have
brother
already
did
heard of it,
discuss.
but I'd like to hear what he's gonna do to protect, you know.
Boy, if I could back out of the project, I'd probably back out of this one.
he told me 4 weeks ago this was gonna be a problem.
Oh, geez. Yeah, the gentleman contacted me about putting a retaining wall and doing the backfill, and I looked at it. So just take the backyard is probably about 28 by 40, with a slope towards the house already. So when it rains, now, you already got a slope going this way towards the house, it's grass. So if it's gonna get water, you're gonna get water towards the house already. So I'm taking a parking pad and backfilling it with the wall about 54 inches in height, pitching 12.5 foot wide by 24 feet in length, pitching the water towards the alleyway. And at the slopes on each side, I'm gonna slope it with, dirt and topsoil and grass. So when the rain hits, it'll go down the creases into the man's yard. So as far as the water going in to this lady's, I don't see how it's gonna climb the hill, but maybe on the lower side, but you already have a yard that's already sloped towards the house, and I'm taking it and backfilling it. Again, it was something, I ran it past Boomer, I said, hey, these people approached me, it's local, I've been doing a lot of work, I don't do shitty work, I do good work around here, I would make sure it's right, put bumper blocks in front so the car would hit the, bumper block before going over the wall, and making sure we had wedge curbs along both sides of the asphalt, so the water, any water that hits the asphalt won't roll over into the slope sides where the dirt would be, and then go down into the yard anyways. So if we can all imagine that, so you already have a yard pitched towards the house, approximately about 28 by 40, versus now we build it up to 12.5 feet by 24, pitched towards the alleyway with slope sides with grass catching it. I can't see there being a problem. If there is, then maybe I shouldn't have took the job.
And what did I tell you about a permit?
Yeah, he needed a permit. He did tell
He
me
said
I
he
needed.
would stop it
And
whenever
I was
he had
busy, I was literally busy, I was paving, and I said, give me a couple of weeks. And the guys who were doing the wall, I told them what to do, and they would call me up, and I said, look, I was paving not far away. I said, I can't get to the borough building in time, and then finally I did. And
So you got told 4 weeks ago that you needed a permit?
yes, I was. So that's it, here's a little bit of the drawing. I did talk to Reed, she was the brother, and,
I'd like
we
to give you
kinda-
a copy
we
of
hashed it out.
Ms. Farrell's emails, you can read them at your convenience, just to see. Thank you. I have her permission to give them to you.
You don't want those pads.
Okay, I think, we're moving along, but I think some of the problem has been resolved.
Can I speak for a second?
Sure.
Everybody's mad anyway. You are. I really didn't know that my sister was getting a wall here not too long ago.
You're-
I am Reed Robson's, my sister Christy, and I lived there all my life. I should have talked to Boomer earlier to see exactly what was going on, but I didn't. We're all busy because the sun's shining. So, talked with Lenny outside. He did say he was going to put some curbs on the side to keep that water from going. I just wanted to make sure, I'm here to represent her, just to make sure that that is going down the alley, because you're gonna build it, no matter what. As much as the permits and whatever, I just wanted to make sure, taking a look at it. I just took a good look at it tonight. I see the wall, just wanted to make sure those beams are down far enough. There's a lot of pressure going on there. There's 7 inches of rain in February. I got a lot of slides going on down at other properties. Just want to make sure that none of this water is going to run back to these houses that I took care of when I was a little kid, digging ditches along the side with these French drains, because I lived up there. So she's just concerned that it is a high store. I mean, you don't really want to put a driveway. When you come out your back porch and sit there and you're going to look at 2 cars, really? I mean, nobody wants to do that. So she told me to investigate it, so I did. I looked a little bit. There's nothing you can do. You build, you gotta build, you got a right to build. So, just wanted me to talk with Lenny. It's good to see Lenny today. And he told me he was gonna get curbs on the side, the elevation's high enough, roll them down the driveway, that's fine. Just so there's no water going along the sides of those houses, because they're old houses, and they do that cure and seal never. I did that for my father's house down the street. She's just a little concerned, and I guess she got a little mad at Boone about going back and forth about, permits and such, but we can resolve that. It's just a little bit of issue. The other lady's little issue is her garage. You didn't hear this yet. Her garage is down there. As long as that water is coming down, Len, goes down that driveway, gets onto the alley. Now we got a little bit more water that you're saying it used to go that way, it's coming this way. Well, now it's a concern to her garage down there. It's just things. They live there, they're just concerned. And so that's why we're trying to solve problems. So, talked to Lenny, everything seems to be okay. He says he's on it, it's engineered, you know, beams are in far enough, it's gonna hold up, so that's all, just making sure that everybody's on the same page if anything happens.
So you feel a little better about talking to Lenny then?
Huh?
Since you talked to Lenny, you feel better about it?
I talked to Dave. I actually
Thank
didn't
you.
know that she was building this retaining wall until 2 days ago. And I would have
I
called
didn't
you.
wanna get you guys involved.
That's what she told me, she
May
didn't want
I?
me involved.
Thank you, sir.
May I request a copy of the plans, though, just of what's being done? Also, Ms. Farrow had asked if she could have a copy of the permit application, and that's never been sent to her, and she has a right to know.
She asked me if it was a permitted use and the thing for the retaining walls, and that was sent to her.
But she
With
also
her right to
asked
know.
for the permit application. It's in the emails, and
Did
she
we have a-
asked more than
excuse me,
once.
did we get a right to know request on this?
Yes, and I gave her both the information she originally asked for. And then in her email, she asked about the permit application. I said, he has a permit, that's all I need to tell her.
But there was no permit before, that was the problem.
Okay.
at that
Christie, would
time.
you be able to get a right to know request to us what you're requesting?
Sure, I will, but Ms. Farrow was just asking that her, and I apologize, she works out of town, she lives in Mount Lebanon, but she works out of town, and she's an engineer, as a matter of fact, you know, but she doesn't do this type of work, but she has access. So none of us did this just to be a pain, no, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not real happy about sitting on my deck and looking at two cars, or a car, but I understand he has a right to do that, and I don't have a problem with that. He has as much right to do that as I have to have a deck. But I just want it done safely and properly so that we can all not have problems. I don't want problems with my neighbors.
We'll ensure that that will be
And
done.
that's what I'm looking for.
Well, I'm glad,
That's all I'm here
one thing I am
for.
glad to hear is that he did, you know, your neighbor did hire a good,
Well, and I
respected
feel better
company
that they
like
talked tonight.
Buffalo. I mean, everybody knows that company,
I
and
just
I
want
have,
to
I've only
reiterate,
heard good about them, so.
Lenny was told 4 weeks ago that he needed a permit. He said he told her, as soon as I can get in there, I will. I'm very busy. As soon as I can stop up, I'll get it. I said, okay, well, you can start the work because I know we talked about it. I went up there and saw the site and everything. So he came in on the 4th and got the permit.
Please read the emails.
I will.
appreciate that.
I will.
And
And-
Lenny will tell you, we talked 4 weeks ago.
But now you have to remember, Lenny is only doing the backfilling. It's the guys that live in the house that don't do this for a living who are building the wall. They built the retaining wall. He's not building the retaining wall.
I
He's
laid
just
it out
dumping the
for them,
dirt.
and they got the I-beams, and they did it, and I checked it.
Yeah, because they were
And
doing
they
it.
put
He's not
down,
doing it.
they went 3 foot below grade and cemented them
But
in.
nobody checked that. And I'm not, I'm not,
Lenny checked it. And I was up there also and looked at it.
well,
All right,
it's-
we're not
I
gonna
don't
get
wanna
any,
argue
we're not
about
gonna
the
get
right.
any
I
further
don't
by
as
arguing
long as
in
you're
this.
gonna look into it and see that it's being done properly and that our properties are being, you know, that our concerns and our interests are being protected as well, that's all I can ask, so that's all I'm here for tonight. And I
And I
thank
will
you very
read your
much for your
emails.
time.
Thank you.
I do appreciate it.
John will give a copy of this right now.
Okay, council items for agenda, Willis Center.
Greg,
Minutes are up there.
Greg and I met a few weeks ago, I think the last council meeting that we had. There was, Turtle Creek Valley had to go to Blind Division and get some approvals of the parking issues. They had some minor issues, and then Turtle Creek Valley Board had some more serious issues, but nothing looks earth shattering or a big deal. That was just given to Turtle Creek Valley's attorney on Monday. Greg, our solicitor, got back on Tuesday, so that's probably on his plate right now to see what the changes were. I should know Wednesday, what any kind of adjustments need to be made, so forth and so on.
And these are parking spaces,
I
yeah.
believe it was mostly parking issues. I haven't seen anything from what Turtle Creek Valley sent to this point. I was hoping, when I put this on the agenda, I thought we would be a little further along. I didn't know about this new email that went out on Monday to Turtle Creek Valley attorney.
Main Street parking, the meeting was held last week, I attended, Rich attended, the chief was there, we had business people, who else was there? We had business people, we had the restaurant, we had a couple restaurants, we had the card shop.
Larry Stahl from Pizza Company, Linda
Spellman, yeah,
Squire,
Linda.
Bob Falls from Falls' Restaurant.
Read that right there.
So it was there right there, yeah, that's what we did. I think we got them all. And, what was resolved is they have their concerns, and there's a few things that need done up there.
Basically,
That they asked for.
what we, I think we all agreed upon there was to put the 2-hour parking signs back up,
Mhm.
issue, permits for the residents who live up there, and, paint lines, I believe that was.
Right.
Right, lines painted was. the-
Lines painted for parking spaces on Main Street, and also extending those 2-hour parking limits to a portion of the blocks in the business district, you know, the streets that cross. So that we're not just pushing the problem onto the neighborhood behind it. Is that everyone else's understanding?
Yes.
Yeah.
However, Dave and I are meeting with, we looked at the communities that have maybe a similar issue or the same type of issue, or maybe a little more drastic. And we're gonna meet with Brentwood Borough on Friday to go up there and see what they do. They have a lot of, on Bronzeville Road, they have a lot of, businesses and residences, so we're just gonna
And I think Larry Stahl said Dormont's very similar with
Right.
their,
Yeah.
Right.
on West Liberty Avenue. But I think that's what we agreed to in the meeting, basically.
And I think that's what they wanted.
And that's what the
That
business
was
people
the,
were asking for, basically. So I think it's, you know, it's what for less than $2,000, we're painting signs into it, correct? Just getting the signs in, getting them up, painting the lines and, enforcing it.
And the enforcement, basically, we told them that, hey, when they see a problem car that's there a lot of times, for them to make a call and.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was
But I mean,
Spelman's
that-
take of it, but I mean,
But
I
that's
said,
part
you
of
know,
it,
we're
yeah.
not gonna,
We're not marking tires all the time and.
we're, you know, we don't have the manpower to sit up there and
Right.
be a meter maid.
Right.
But if we notice something, we would handle it ourselves. If we get a complaint, we'll definitely handle it, you know, at that time.
Is
And
it,
we'll enforce it as much as we can.
is it feasible to put a center line down through Main Street? There's that guy here.
It's feasible, but based on,
I don't do that.
based
That's
on the line
for-
painting, they have to be certain lengths. And same thing we did on Ravine Street, we were able to put a yellow line down, then you gotta put, white lines down on the side.
Fog lines.
We may have lost all the parking along the side, so if we do put yellow lines down, we may not have enough room to put parking on one side of the street.
Normally, we have the county will come out with their truck. We don't have a truck that does that. Bob,
Look at
correct?
it, yeah.
And we did say we're gonna make the parking spots 19 or 19 and a half.
Some of those little-
Big,
I think 19 feet is what's common.
Yeah, we're gonna make it the
For
right amount.
If we put a white
But I think the
line
last
down,
time it may have been
yellow line,
15, which is really tight.
Yeah, that is tight.
That's what we-
So, put him at 19 feet, you're gonna have less parking spaces, but they'll be clearly marked spaces.
Right, and that's what they want.
So you're gonna enforce if they're not parked inside of the thing?
As much as we can.
You're gonna be busy, bud.
Busy already.
Not him, he's the chief.
You figure somebody will be sitting there saying that car's in there 2 hours and 5 minutes, they're gonna be calling.
They call anyway.
You right.
They call about everything, so it's.
Do you wanna ask something?
I have a suggestion. I used to live above Cousins for years. And the biggest offender of people parking and then taking the bus away is that daycare center. So I don't know if anybody's talked to them. I haven't lived there unfortunately for 11 years. So you might wanna have them send out a memo to the parents saying, you can't park here for hours on end.
Well, I think another thing that I didn't bring up, what we agreed to, is we are gonna hand deliver a letter to every business on Main Street and every resident in the business district.
Because I've gone and
To let
parked-
everybody know what changes are coming, how will be, you know, they will be allotted, you know, a permit for their residents only, not for your business, for
Yeah.
your residents.
No, that's, I wanted to.
So
bring it up at
that's
the
how
last
we're gonna
meeting,
handle
but
that
I-
part, and we will take care of that, delivering the letter to all the
Maine is a
people.
business district, we don't wanna make it, it's becoming a park and ride, and we don't want that to continue.
Right.
That was the biggest complaint of people parking there in the morning, even from outside the borough, and parking on those spots and
Yeah.
using them all.
I know, I had to carry all my laundry all the way up, I lived there years.
This just didn't happen, Joe. I mean,
It's
it's
been
not like
happening.
it's been there. Before Cuz sold his place, he was complaining about the parking.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, now it's gonna get done.
He even got a plaque that says endless parking space as a joke to make him feel better.
Chief, the police department is gonna handle giving their residents their permits and all that, keeping track of who has them, how many they have, so they.
I was hoping that someone in the office would handle that.
I was wondering, yeah, okay, who is gonna do that?
We are.
Okay, the office is gonna do that,
Administration
just
will
so
handle
that's
that.
clear, so we know
Oh,
that.
you know, yeah,
And
as
they have
long
to
as we
show-
have a copy of the database of, you know, who belongs to where and what.
Right.
That's what we would be concerned about, but we don't wanna, you know, we don't wanna handle the permits themselves.
We will handle that.
Some of those are rentals, you know, and they may change hands, you know, the people that leave,
Right.
you know, have 2 permits, and someone comes in wants 2 more than they, you know, they start winding up with 4 and 6 and 8 permits.
And they
You
have
know,
to
we
show,
have to try to keep
and they
track
have
of
to
that.
show that they do have a vehicle.
Yeah.
Right, you'll have to have
I
a
mean, somebody
registration,
that's
a driver's
just
license.
We have to make sure all these rules and regs are like, you know,
They can't have.
There
We
will
have,
be
you know, we
proof
have
of
right.
residency, proof of, vehicle ownership, the plate for that vehicle, that
Right.
goes
Yeah,
along with that
right.
number, that permit number.
And,
we have to work hand in hand on that.
and that might, we might,
That's
there are,
gonna-
there
that's
are
gonna be
more
the
things
hardest
we
part.
need to do.
Yeah,
The permit part will be the toughest part for us.
yeah, definitely.
Most time consuming.
So,
Okay, thanks, Pat.
and what we did talk about, Joe, at the meeting was, and Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, that, for instance, if we do know somebody is a resident maybe, and we check maybe a warning the first time and tell them to get up there and get your permit.
Right.
You know, if they felt,
Right,
we're not
looking
we're not
to-
out to,
We're not looking to hammer our residents, but
The
we need
residents.
them to get along, you know, get them.
I mean, more or less a warning, you know, hey, you gotta get your permit to park here now.
And what are we gonna do to the violators? I mean, I know we're just talking now, I mean, are there gonna be fines, towings? We're gonna start towing?
Well, that's, you know, that's council's pleasure. You could
I
put
mean, that's
signs
something I
out there,
think that
tow
has
to
to
your
be in
owner
the-
at the owner's
Yeah, we
expense.
have to figure that out.
You know, we can leave it as a citation, a borough tag, as a state citation, a tag and tow, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, I think we need
I
something
believe
in
the
ordinance.
business,
There
owners
is a
out
lot more
there.
we have to do
Yeah.
before.
Let's see how that works, what we're doing now.
We might have to
before we
update some
start.
ordinance.
I think the business owners were
What we do, resolution.
asking for
Resolution.
a
The
tag and
ordinance is
tow.
already in
Yeah.
place.
Was it, Pat, is it the state was a little bit more money or something, state tax,
Yeah,
compared to your
our borough tags are basically a $15 fine, but the
state?
$15 stays here. A state tag, there's a lot of fees associated with it. The fine itself may be $15, but we only get half of that. The state gets the other half, and the state gets the rest of the fees. The CAT fund, the EMS fund, everything else that goes along with it, you know, the court costs basically.
I think the
So the
next
fine
one
might
is-
be $110. We might see $750 of it.
Yeah.
And we're not doing this for
No, no.
revenue,
No,
you
we're
know,
not.
to generate revenue, it's to regulate parking.
Right.
Curious,
You gotta regulate it.
why was Saturday included?
Because most of those businesses are open on Saturday.
Because I read that, I said, if we
That's
get.
how the existing ordinance is
Okay,
Monday through Saturday. But I believe that the ordinance is actually, correct me if I'm wrong, it's for 1 hour, right? As it
Yeah,
reads.
we need to look these over and.
Yeah, it's for 1 hour. so-
And
Right, and I didn't feel that we need to really change that because we're giving them an extra hour. They're not taking an hour, it's not, the ordinance isn't a 2, and we're only giving them 1. But I think, Joe, you spoke to Greg, and Greg thinks we may have to address that, right?
We gotta do it by resolution, we don't have to change the ordinance, we
Right,
gotta
just
change it
change
by
by
resolution.
resolution.
That's why we're meeting with Brentwood, find out exactly what they have, find their ordinances, and, you know, they already did the work.
What we're doing, if someone like Linda Squires can have a 2-hour appointment for somebody too.
well, the reason I asked
Somebody will
about
come in, or
it,
you're not gonna have a 1-hour appointment, you know. She has
I was
customers.
just thinking, the one scenario where I could see we might improperly punish somebody would be like on a Saturday, if a family's having a picnic, and they have other family members that don't live in Munhall parking there, now you've got 4 or 5 cars that are gonna be there for 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday.
You're right.
Well, you know what,
Could be a Monday or Tuesday too.
And I brought that up,
Theoretically.
that like,
Okay.
I know like in Pleasant Hills, you're not allowed to park on the street because everybody has a garage and a driveway.
Yeah.
If you're having a family gathering, You call the police station, you tell them, hey, this is Jason at 123 Main Street, I'm having a family get together, there's gonna be cars parked, you know, on the street. And they will give you an okay for that day.
Okay.
You know, and that's kind of how that's handled there. I don't see why that.
I mean, that's gonna happen, but hopefully most
I
of
think
the
it's
wise,
handled pretty simple.
hopefully it'll be wise, there's no enforcement on Sunday.
Well, you know what, and I mean, think about it.
So hopefully they have the picnics on
People do
Sunday.
have gatherings
Right?
at their house. I
We're
mean,
doing it
there's
Monday
not
through
a large
Saturday.
space in those homes that are within the business district. So I don't think we'll run into that problem
Right.
very often,
Yeah.
but we'll handle it.
You handle it right.
The side street, you gonna go back one block?
Excuse me?
The side street, you gonna go back one block?
I think that's what we agreed to, going back one block, or we can make it a distance, because we don't wanna push the parking riders from Main Street to West Virginia Avenue right down
Right,
Main
that's
Street.
what happened last time.
Right.
And
Although
or
you go
Eugene or
Monster,
Millard.
that's a big block, if you go one block back.
Right, and that's, and maybe, you know, we'll go a few, 200 feet or something like
Right.
that, you know. That's something that we can tweak is, you know, as we're implementing this. But I think we need to incorporate that, because you're just gonna push the problem from Main Street to every side street that leads to Main Street.
They'll be parking in green
Well, you handle that, and whatever way you decide.
We'll go up and walk the blocks and see what makes sense.
Okay. Anything else with the parking on Main Street? Okay, website.
Website. For the last 2 years, Becky and I fight about the website at all times because it's so messy, so busy, hard to find things. And it's not really user friendly. So, finally, we had enough and we called our website developer and asked her to come in here to talk to us to find out how we can make it more user friendly. Dave has a lot of permits that he uses. So it'd be nice if somebody needed a building permit, to be able to go right online, fill in the information, submit it and pay for it right there, and then he can deliver them. Also, with TV pickups, for somebody to fill out a form and pay for it right there, we have the address, we get the Public Works, and they pick it right up. Our ball field, for somebody to rent the ball field, they have to call us, they have to get their email, we have to send them an email and invite them onto our scheduling software. It's very cumbersome. No one can really just go out there and look to see who's playing and if the field's used or not used. So we brought her in, Lori Holt, who's Holt Web Design, and she gave us a price of $1,950 for a one-time cost to be able to get it to where we need to do it. And we would like to go ahead with that.
I get by what you're saying is ours is obsolete now?
Not so much obsolete, it's not
Not
real
enough to
easy to
handle.
use, right?
User friendly.
And I always said this, we put things on the website, but I don't think it's the type of website you're gonna go on and see what kind of news. And I look at other municipalities' websites to see what they do, and there's a lot out there that's, it's more newsworthy. Like most of our newsworthy stuff is on our Munhall Crime Watch. We put the same things on the website, and I don't really believe people would go on there to look at it. So this is what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
Makes sense. I mean, the website does need improvement, needs updated.
The mock-up that we got is much better.
Yeah, yeah. Jason's an IT man. Information technology,
Thank
for
you,
those who
abbreviate
wonder.
it and let me know what you're talking about.
I sent all this stuff to him to make sure that it was good, it was
Is it
worth
okay
it.
to do that?
and
Yeah.
so-
It's
We're good to
strongly
go.
advised.
Jason strongly advises that.
Website stinks.
Does that mean we can move forward with that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, next, item 4, the fountain.
Yeah, I'd like that brushed out a little bit.
Okay.
What fountain we talking
Yeah.
about?
Talking about the.
Fountain of Youth.
Yeah.
Found
We
down
need one.
Park Square.
Park Square.
Put down there. It needs to work up to what it needs, does it need water?
whole park needs work, but for the fountain area, it would need to be drained. It would need to be cleaned out.
We'll do that, that's it.
The pumps need to be checked. You have 2 pumps on there. One pump is the low pump that squirts out for the 6 line heads. The second pump shoots up 15 feet, 15, 17 feet, so it'd have to be a more equipped pump. The lines going through it would have to be redone because the top 2 tiers fell off. That would need to be reattached, welded back on.
Do we have a part?
I've been there.
They're loose.
They're in
The
the,
middle tier looks like it's still in there, I don't know if the top tier's in there or not.
okay.
It would need to
It'd
be
be hard to
sanded and
reproduce.
repainted. And then refilled with 2,400 gallons of water. Other than that, it's pretty good shape.
What I drink out of it right now, does it say? No. Okay.
Go for it.
Oh, it's not a drinking fountain, right, it's, yeah.
Also,
okay.
there's some trimming
Never mind.
right down there.
The bathing fountain.
Can you do that sometime? You know,
Yeah,
cut the hedges and.
It's all overgrown.
Yeah, the hedges around the fountain, we've historically been trimming them.
Yeah, you guys, we always take care of that, I remember.
Yeah, I didn't get to weeding last year and somebody came and weed whacked all my perennials, so we can hold off on the weed whacking until I can get over there.
On the corner.
Yeah.
What do you think, Carl? Can you take care of it?
Hey, we whack him. No,
I just don't want
You
it
guys
to
wanna
turn
see a
into
picture
an
of it,
eyesore.
or do you know?
Yeah.
No, we know.
Say, I can,
Yeah, it is a nice, little piece of land there where it's, kept up and looks nice when it's.
Well, the fountain is laying on its side.
mm.
That anyone's been there. Pretty bad.
Top 2 tiers.
How long has it been like that?
All winter.
Was it working at all last year?
Yeah.
It worked last year? I thought so.
Was it damaged by people or was it just fall apart?
We don't know.
It was damaged by ice, I believe.
I'm willing to bet it was not people. You would have to go through it. It's 6, 8
It's had,
feet to
it's
the
cast
first
iron.
tier.
So, we gotta find a company that does that kind of work.
Yeah, and then find out the feasibility of can it even be repaired or is too much
Right,
of it.
get an estimate on it or
Less
something.
than a rack.
Excuse me? Why you burning down one? Down West Hempstead. West Hempstead, West Hempstead.
Yeah,
I
that's-
spent about a week now trying to find a company that will come in and either refix it the way it is, or even build a new one and get an estimate for that. The closest company I found was in, Beaver County, and they said they don't do it anymore. The next closest place I had was in Michigan, and the other one was in Florida. So if anybody knows of any company that will actually do this work, I'd be happy to talk to them.
North Hills Water Gardens
North Hills Water.
has worked on it, I think it's one time.
Okay.
It should probably be leveled if you're gonna have work done on it.
Okay. Because I didn't even locate them at all in my search, so. Okay,
And then
thank
moving
you.
on, and then we'll give you afterwards, just an individual.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much.
It's not necessarily that you need a fountain person.
Oh, that's what I was looking for.
An electrician can do electrical work, plus probably the plumbing aspect of it. Welder can actually do the welding part of it.
Yeah, see, I would have known all that right now.
And then
Okay.
a painter can do the appropriate painting if they need.
Can any of that be done in-house, Bob?
5,000, 10,000?
No, okay.
What's that?
I asked if anything can be done in-house by our public works.
He knows they can clean it out.
We can
You know,
clean
they
it
clean it
up.
out, they can set it down.
Thank you.
As soon as you clean it out,
It's cast iron.
that lets kids go
Yeah,
into
burning like
the area. They could rip the lining, they could knock things over, they could steal anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't want to clean out till we're ready to actually do something. Because right now, the nasty water is actually a deterrent for some of the folks.
Some.
Mosquitoes are gonna be in here
Yeah,
soon.
they get mosquitoes.
Yeah, I know,
After
that's
your
a
supper.
deterrent, yeah, that's why we gotta get it done.
If you trim the hedges, you just trim all the way around the fountain. You don't trim each bush separately and create openings. The more it grows together, the more it prevents people from going in.
There you go, advice. Pass that on.
Good point.
They're jagged bushes.
They're barberry.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly, portions, so.
If you run down and fix stuff in the park, there's a tree on the one corner, an evergreen, it's approaching its end of useful life. There's 2 other maple trees or something next to it that are growing outwards. Cut the middle one down, pull the other 2 close together, and that's brought up and fulfill that.
I think we need to go down there and assess the whole area.
Yeah,
I was
we
just
got,
gonna say, we've kind of been the caretakers to some
Yeah, I
degree,
know
and
you
then,
guys always-
whatever, and then, but Greg can
Kind
meet
of
anybody from Public Works any given Friday, so, yeah.
This
Happy
is,
to
I know, used to help with that.
show what we have been doing in our spare time.
Right,
Yeah, 3 times been more and more limited.
I'm sure.
I mean, it's a nice centerpiece with,
Thank you.
you need to
That's
do
something we
something
have
on
to
it.
see what we can do there.
With ways.
I might add, all the park benches need painted down there as well, they're pretty bad shape.
Yeah, correct.
And, they are very nice benches, they're ornate stands that hold the wood together, but they do need painted.
We got summer help coming on,
They're on the list
huh?
there, Bryce.
Summer help will probably do some painting for us.
And, lines on it.
Got the guy to get
the guy get the,
And once we get some things going around there, I'll address that as well.
Well, Christie Robinson was on the agenda next, additional items, we moved her up.
Yep.
Okay, anything else for the good of the body, all right? Here, Rich say he wants to bring something up.
I want to.
fire chief.
Fire chief.
I just want to let everybody know that we'll be putting up the veterans and military banners this weekend along with the flags. Saturday, we'll be doing that. Anybody with feet is welcome to help.
What time?
The breakfast is at 9, somewhere around 10, somewhere around there, maybe 9:30. I'd like to thank the mayor too. He helped, he provided a rolling scaffold, one of them. I don't know who the other ones came from, but I know that
I'm
mayor
gonna
provided one.
bring 2 more tomorrow.
That's a pretty big help, so it makes life a little easier with those rolling scaffolds.
Did
A
you
lot of
get-
them we have to get from the top of the
Did
fire
you get
truck.
more, or did you?
I don't know what's up there. Yesterday, I talked to them, they were waiting for 1 or 2.
I'm gonna bring 2 more.
That'll be perfect.
Mayor, anything on Memorial Day?
Memorial Day, I invited the mayor to come, Mayor Wadner,
Okay.
and I believe he is gonna attend the Memorial Day services, at the, cemetery. So, all is pretty much set for Memorial Day.
I received the information on the speaker from Mrs. Hoag, so I could start writing up something for the Valley Mirror to put in, you know, about our parade and
Right.
who the speaker is and so forth.
Good. You and I spoke about that prior, so
Yeah.
that's good.
So I just got it today,
Okay.
so information on the speaker. So it'll run for like 2 weeks. I'll get it next. Today was too late to get in for tomorrow, of course, so we'll get in for 2 weeks. Anything else for the council, for the body? Do you have something?
I have several things to bring up, but
Okay. Well, defer there.
We met with Allegheny County and on the water runoff.
Where do you go? Where do you go?
Well, okay, since he disappeared because of,
It's because you don't bring him
I
to
talked
take.
to Allegheny County, okay? And, there were numerous people out there, and the law is that that pipe had to be cut back 5 feet, okay? So my neighbor cut it back 5 feet, and he put a gutter underneath the pipe, which runs right out to where it was before. So, just so you know, the water's going exactly where it was before, okay?
Allegheny
And-
County told him to cut that pipe, and he did that.
He had to cut it back 5 feet, but he put
That's
this
not quite
gutter
true.
in.
That's not quite true. Allegheny County, Tom Ruffing asked the homeowner if he would cut it back. He asked him to cut it back, he didn't tell him he had to.
He didn't make them.
Right.
In other words, he cut it back anyways.
He cut it back, yeah, he asked him to cut it back and he cut it back.
And he put in the gutter to drain it, got over to my property. And, you know, like, I really don't understand. I really don't understand. The guy that, from Allegheny County actually said to me that the person that he talked to from here was totally unreceptive. What's that mean?
No, you have to tell me what it means.
I mean, unreceptive to any, does that mean any suggestions to what, I mean, the property is being ruined. I mean, my property is being ruined. And I don't understand what your job description is. I thought it was to protect the citizens. I mean, you own the sidewalks. You've let this man destroy your sidewalks. That's the law. And I have to maintain something that belongs to you, that you've let this man destroy. And you've made all kinds of laws about other things. When the Pretty Kitty was done on 8th Avenue, my God, if you'd read all this stuff, if you're a stripper, you can't have pasties on, you can't have this on. Like, I don't understand. There's 90 pages of women. Who doesn't like nude women? They aren't ruining my property, let me tell you. Okay, and then we have the dog barking ordinance. But how does that protect my property from being ruined by this idiot that lives next door to me? I'm gonna get arrested, Patrick, so you can plan on coming to my house and talking to Lucy and Lisa. Because let me tell you, in December, I am taking all of my water from my basement in buckets and I'm pouring it all over his property, so his property is as icy as mine. And I'm not getting fined. You are gonna arrest me, Patrick, and that's it. Because I wanna go to jail.
No, jeez.
I'll treat you well.
I know you will. I know you will. And I mean it. I mean it. You guys should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed. I'm serious. I'm disappointed in all of you that you will not take a stand on this. I want to know. Ricky asked you. I know Ricky has seen my property. Patrick has. He has.
Mr. Petruzzi,
Mr. Petruzzi, you have. Have you?
Yes, I have.
And what do you think?
I think we have to ask our code enforcement officer.
I'm not asking you that. Ethically, what do you think if that was your property? Ethically, what do you think?
I think I'd cut the tree roots out of that.
No, don't say that to me.
I'm just telling you.
Don't say that
You asked
to
me
me.
what I thought. I'd cut the tree
You
roots
know what?
out there.
Allegheny County said that was a big joke. Now you're talking like him. My sycamore tree has nothing
Don't
to
ask me
do
the
with
question
it.
if you don't want my answer. I mean, that's my answer.
That's your answer.
Yes,
That
it is.
sycamore tree has something to do with that.
I think it does the roots.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Ask me what
Mr.
I
Petruzzi, does
told
my
you,
sycamore
I
tree
told
have
you a
anything?
month ago. I'd go up there and I'd rip that pump right out of his house.
Then Patrick will have to arrest me
You
long
You
before
won't be
winter.
arrested.
and
You won't be
I
arrested.
have
Who's
to
gonna
bake all winter.
You get some young guy and rip that pump out and throw it away, see what he does. Cause it wouldn't ruin my yard. Believe me, if I lived
Did you
there.
see how bad it is,
Yeah.
Mr. Petruzzi?
I feel bad for him.
I know, so does Allegheny County.
Why can't he just do that?
He did.
He did, he cut it back.
Then he put a crock pot under it, he put a pot under
Why
it so
can't
it
he
run
just cut
out.
it back and leave it alone?
What did he do, Bob?
There's a record, that's what the Tom Ruffin came out 2 weeks ago, I'd say, right after we had a meeting, asked Tom to come out, and Tom and the inspector that wrote the neighbor up, was out there. It was actually up to code, he didn't really have to change anything. Tom Ruffin asked him to cut it back a little, told him what to do, make sure it wasn't a tripping hazard for himself. He, complied, and I'm pretty sure, the inspector signed off on it.
May I say that Tom Ruffing told me it wasn't up to code, that it wasn't allowed to be out there on the street? It had to be cut back 5 feet? But now he put a gutter in that it still goes to the same place.
Or let him
What-
finish,
what-
let him finish.
What Tom Ruffing says is that you have to be 5 feet, you can have water run, but it has to be 5 feet off your neighbor's property. So if you were 6 foot in and it ran on your property, then onto your neighbor's, it was okay. It's 5 foot for the Allegheny County Plumbing Code. The original one, it was set back because it went out of his yard for maybe 6 inches down 2 slabs of concrete onto her 2 slabs. So Tom just asked the guy, hey, can you cut it back a little bit? The kid said, yeah, sure, I'll cut it back this week. And he called me, I went up there, I said, call Steve from the county, have him come out and look. I haven't heard anything since.
Well, then why do they feel so sorry for me? That
What?
they can't do anything. They said to me, this guy said to me, I feel so bad that we can't do anything to help you. Your borough is unreceptive.
Well, I talked to Tom about our ordinances, and even like Penn Hills has just changed their ordinances. Originally they told everyone to put the water out into the streets. And now they're saying, hey, no more out into the streets, because what was happening was a lot of their streets were icing up and they couldn't keep up anymore. So if 7 years ago when we started this, we told people, I'm gonna say this one more time, hopefully, that's it for me. You could run it out into the street, you could run it out to your sidewalk, you could run it down your driveway, you could run it out into your yard, you could not direct it towards your neighbor's structure. We said that from day one. We met with Chester engineers, there was plumbers, myself, the manager at the time, Mr. Tarek at the time, and we were all, and that's what we told everybody. And so when we would go out and inspect, that's what we were looking for. I mean, was it the right thing to do? Who knows? I mean, every 3 years I'd go to the train with the thing, and first year they said, oh, you have to put it out to the street. Then they changed that, put it into your yards. Now, like I said, they want everything in rain barrels or a green area in your yard. That's what they recommend now. Rain barrels is the big thing.
Well, what about her, all the water, his water's going to her?
Yeah, we have that problem everywhere. I mean, we do. I mean, everybody's,
I wanna see somebody else's property that looks like mine, that has to have
Oh,
orange
you can
fence.
go Cranberry Street, you can go down Trout.
Yeah, well, I don't see any orange fence anywhere.
Roberta, we've been all over.
Well, besides that, if you got all these laws about the pretty kitty and girls dancing nude, I wanna know how to get a law to make it so this man can't do this to my property anymore. I wanna know what I have to do. Do I need 50 signatures, 500 signatures? Do I need to dance nude in front of my house? I wanna know what I have to do. You're the council, you tell me.
I told you what to do.
Wear tassels.
Yeah, wear tassels.
Wear tassels, oh, you're not allowed to wear tassels, I think that's in there. I wanna know. I want you to tell me specifically what I have to do to make this a law. I mean it. If you can make a law about stripping and you can make a law about dog barking, you certainly have to be able to make a law.
Can't you make him accountable for your damage?
Yes, she has that, if she
Civil?
feels that his rainwater caused damage to her property, she could civilly take him to the magistrate.
But it's not gonna do any good. If I get it fixed, he's still gonna do that. You can't even imagine. Rick, tell him how much ice like this. As a matter of fact, Mr. Tarek, the time that he came up, that my mother was dying and I couldn't get out of my house, it was 8 inches of ice. 8 inches of ice, I couldn't even remotely get out of there.
I was up there, I wasn't up there when it was raining. Does it come down right in your driveway?
Well, he's pumping stuff out from
That's
the
what I mean, does
sump
it
pump.
come in
It
her
comes right
driveway?
onto her sidewalk.
It goes right on
Right into the sidewalk.
Her sidewalk is destroyed.
Yes.
Well, for 20 bucks, I'll give you a kid
It's
a rip
destroyed.
that.
It's lifted by the tree, but the first two pads that come from being pumped on are destroyed from the water being pumped onto these pads, freezing, thawing, they're
Well,
shot.
plus her driveway, she's running a 3,000-pound automobile over those slab concrete also. That didn't help either.
Who?
Probably caused an effect on
Who?
the,
She's saying you did.
No, I
You have
don't
a car?
park there.
Okay, well,
I can't park there. How can I park there?
years ago.
No. There was never a problem until all this stuff happened with the rainwater stuff. And his sump pump and everything else. I never had a problem with any of my
Well,
neighbors.
did the previous owner put the sub pump in? That's what I was told.
No, I never had a problem until they lived there.
But the previous owner put the sub pump in.
I don't think so.
That's what the deal is.
Well, he's a liar, okay, so.
Well, that would be only, have a civil suit against them or.
Right.
Yeah, but that doesn't still help me to, okay, I'll get the civil suit and they're gonna fix the concrete and he's still gonna do it and I still can't get out of my house. So what does it matter?
Well, something that he would have to change his water flow.
No, he'd have to fix the property and he wouldn't have to. I still couldn't get out of my house. I can't get out of my house. So the bottom line is, I wanna know how to, I want a law. I wanna know how to make a law. You tell me how.
I have no idea.
Well, we need,
Oh, my.
anything with the law, we need our solicitor's advice on making any laws or
Okay,
any
then you do that.
changes.
Because
We don't, none of us are attorneys here, none of us have written any laws.
Well-
I don't, Sandy, I don't know,
Solicitor.
but I'll be honest with you, but there's gotta be something that can be done. I'm not saying anything against you, I'm saying, but we gotta have something. You're, Rick.
Can't we make
you're
her pump it down?
I had the issue resolved. I called the county, I had them come out, they cited the neighbor.
Okay.
Someone from Munhall Borough came and said, and brought his supervisor there, and he said, if you cut that back 5 feet, it's okay. So someone from Munhall and the county supervisor met there. I don't know who was there. I don't know who called him was there. I don't know who called you guys to come there. I had it resolved that the guy was gonna cut his sidewalk, his sidewalk, and run a pipe underneath the sidewalk and let it go out to the street. Now, whatever transpired after
Will that solve the problem?
that will
Yeah.
solve the problem.
Yeah, I could get out of my house.
Someone else got involved from Munhall. I don't know who
How
or
would they make
how.
them do that?
It was Dave. Dave got involved.
I was told to
Call Tom Ruffin was the name that he gave us. And we
Yeah.
called Tom
I called
Ruffin,
Tom
we met with
Ruffin
Tom
because he
Ruffin.
wasn't the one that wrote it up.
I had already
So I
talked
went
to
out there, Rick, and I asked Tom Ruffin, can you come out and look at this, because we have this problem all over Munhall.
Right.
So I said,
Tom Ruffing was there prior to you being there with the inspector for this area, and they wrote him up in violation. Someone told you to go out there or call Tom Ruffing and have them come out and change it. Change the violation.
I don't think he would,
That's the
Tom
only way I
Ruffin would
can
do that.
presume it happened.
Was he ever violated? I mean, did they?
Yes, there was a written violation.
Yeah.
Right, and that, because what happened was, and I don't like to say anyone was wrong, but it's not a private sidewalk. When Tom goes, he goes, this isn't a private sidewalk. I said, no, it's a public sidewalk. He goes, oh, okay, then he's permitted to do what he's doing.
That's
And
not what he told me.
Please let me talk. He said, hey, can you please cut it back, 5 feet or as far as you can? The neighbor said, yeah, I'll do that. He said, I'll try to do it this weekend. I'll have help this here this weekend. Since it's not a private sidewalk, public sidewalk changes everything in their eyes.
So whose sidewalk is it?
But
It's a public sidewalk.
but it says in the
About
law,
the
Rick,
law.
See,
it says in the law, public
I don't think so.
sidewalk.
I understand.
Yeah, see, a public sidewalk, like my house in front of my house, if you get a survey done, like most houses, your property will be here, your property line's here, but your sidewalk's another 4 feet. You don't, on your survey, you don't own your sidewalk, but you have to maintain.
You gotta maintain.
You have to maintain. But according to your survey, huh?
The borough owns.
No, I mean, no. The borough, it's like almost like a utility right away, but you have to maintain them in front of your house.
Well, if he had him coming, and he said to put it underneath there, and he was gonna do it, can you do it again? And just tell me
I
what to
can't do it again.
Well,
This is what's happened, this is what's transpired. Now he cuts the pipe back 5 feet. He makes a little trough, and he troughs and directs the water down to the sidewalk. It's the same as having a pipe there. I called Mr. Ruffing and sat in his office and talked to him about it. He said, I'm embarrassed, but I can't do anything more than have him cut the pipe back 5 feet.
Because that's what the code says, that's what, I mean, he has to.
Well, if you got the pipe back 5 feet and put a hose on there to put it back, and what's the use of cutting the pipe?
Yeah, that's right, Mr. Bodity, and it's the same thing.
Thank you.
He did the same thing.
So, what should have been done from the very beginning is you should never run water across a sidewalk, period.
No.
So, they should have not taken that water there, they should have pumped a pump is constantly pumping water. No matter if it's dry out, that thing's pumping out there right now. So, in the wintertime, it's gonna pump water out of it's groundwater, it's subsurface water. It's not storm water, it's a subsurface water. They're pumping it.
I got the same problem.
They're pumping it in the wintertime. The same thing is going on Woodhill Drive, which we have a 92-year-old man out there that he has to go out and chip his driveway out because he can't get out of his house because the neighbor on the other side of Woodhill Park has a sump pump and he pumps it out to the street. And it's pumping out there right now.
Yeah.
So the difference with rainwater and a subsurface sump pump is when it rains, everything's wet, and it rains, you don't know anything. The rain goes away. It's fine, it dries. A subsoiled pump is pumping water all the time. So it's gonna be wet out there. Drive up Woodhill Park right now, it's wet. I drive by it every day. I came here, I talked to him, you're aware of it, Joe. So The answer, what is the answer? The answer is where are you gonna put the water? The water can't go on a sidewalk. They should have an ordinance that says pumps can't be pumped out to the street. They should either be pumped into a dry well, is what you're talking about. Someone mentioned dry wells, or they mentioned rain barrels. Rain barrels are nothing more than a dry well up above the ground surface, and it lets the water out and percolates slowly. I'm doing a job in Wilkinsburg right now. They don't want you to run pumps out into your street. They will not allow you to have a pump out there. So
Penn Hills is the same way.
so you have to go and you run. I'm running all the rainwater out to the front, but for the sump pump, I'm running it to the back of the property. I'm going to dig a big stone dry well. I'm going to pump that into there. It'll have a little bleeder, so it'll bleach out and get into the yard, and it'll dissipate. Depending on how much water you get into a sump pump system, depends on how big your grate has to be, your ditch, your hole, or whatever.
I mean, it's definitely a problem, and it can't be, it's not just unique to Munhall. We gotta find out
It's
what other people are
everywhere.
doing the correct thing, and we gotta find out what the right thing to do is to correct these problems.
So
Not just at Emerson, and not just here, not just there, but anywhere in Munhall.
I can tell you, we're gonna pave Woodhill Drive, and that's gonna be an iced up mess again if nothing's done there. Guaranteed. And she's not gonna be able to walk up her street, no one else will be either.
Right, if like you said, if he puts it out into the street, we're gonna have problems with.
It'll be out in the street then.
Yeah,
It's a pump.
Then I won't have a
It'll be
problem.
ice.
You
I
will.
mean, someone down the street might have problems with ice.
Well, they will. She'll have ice in front of her house, and it'll trail all the way down the
It'll just be
street.
on the street
Yeah,
instead
there's
of.
no easy, I mean.
But
do
at least I'll be able to get out of my house. Couldn't get out of my house when my mother died.
Your street might be icy then.
I don't care about that. Then that's your problem. You can come up and you can put something.
We'll take care of it. It's over the street.
Okay, all right, okay.
Okay.
I won't have to dance
I'll
nude on Emerson
I'll
Avenue.
just get over this, you had it solved, all of a sudden it's not solved.
No, it's not solved. It's not solved. This kid's a scoundrel, I'm telling you, he's a scoundrel. Ask Eddie, he'll tell you.
Okay. We have the kids meeting next week, and I just wanna ask, we really don't need a
I got
lot
a
of public
solution.
speakers next week on this, so. I mean, we'll look into it, and if you wanna address us again in June, I'd appreciate it. Cause the kids next week, I don't wanna have them going through.
I got a solution. Everybody move, down to this part of Munhall, cause we don't have that problem down there.
No, you have combination sewers, so you can do that. So the simple solution is for him to put his sump pump into the sanitary sewer inside his house, and no one will ever know, and it'll be fine.
Run right
That's the real answer. That's how it was done 30 years ago. Till die tested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May I have the floor for a minute? I have a couple of things I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
First thing I'd like to talk about is the proposal that we're working on at the enterprise zone. The three communities are working on putting baskets, flower baskets along the avenue. I'm sure, I don't know if you're all aware of it, I know Joe's aware of it. The cost is going to be around $32,000. That's not all including the baskets. There will be cleaning out all the tree wells and watering. The main cost of this project is gonna be watering all the flowers and everything down there. There's questions about is it legal or not does it need to go out for bid is what the question is one of the questions.
Isn't it over 18.5 that may have to, or is it 20 now?
So there's three communities, so do you divide it by three? I don't know. West Homestead has already adopted it. They've signed on for it, they agreed to it. Their attorney says that it's legal and it's fine. Homestead's attorney, I believe, is questioning it. I think our attorney should give you some sort of a viewpoint before you vote on it next week. I think it's gonna look very nice down there. It's
Who
not-
will maintain it, Mayor?
Mealy is going to
That's the one that has the property down in Waterfront?
Mealy, they take care of all the waterfront. These baskets are gonna match the baskets that are in the waterfront. They're gonna be the exact same thing. They're trying to bring, life down to 8th Avenue and make things much nicer. So this would only be done once the first year because the enterprise zone does not have the money to do this every year. This will be a one-time venture for them, and hopefully next year, maybe the businesses down there would partake and do something like that.
Rick, how far is it gonna go down into Munhall and to West Homestead?
It's gonna start at West Homestead and, right where their memorial is, the war memorial that they have there. And it's gonna travel all the way through Homestead, and I believe it ends, at the library,
Enterprise rent-a-car.
Is it Enterprise Car?
All the way down to
It's
there.
right to there, so.
Okay.
In counting the baskets, I believe West Homestead and Munhall have about 12 each, I think, it's gonna be something like that. Homestead will have more of them, they have more of the area of the avenue, so. It's also gonna extend, I believe, to maybe the intersection by, the railroad tracks. Where the post office, or not, where the old PNC Bank is. That main intersection right there, I think that there are gonna be some baskets there as well.
They talked about that.
Yeah, well, you were there, you were at the meeting, Rich knows about the meeting, we discussed it. It's a lot of money to spend, obviously, it's nothing to really balk at, but it will make it look really nice, so I think, that's council's vote on that, we'll vote one way or another. I think it should go. What Homestead, I believe, is gonna approve it. West Homestead's already approved it. They only need 2 communities to approve it. I think it would be very nice.
And our share would be 1/3 of that, right?
Right. It's split 1/3.
This isn't our money,
It's the enterprise zone.
It's the enterprise
It's the
money.
enterprise zone.
It's the enterprise zone's money, correct. Now, that's all taxpayer money from evolving from what the enterprise zone started at.
Well, I like
Now, discussions today have changed as well since Joe talked to Chuck Starrett earlier. He called me as well today, after he talked with, Joe, and Lloyd Cunningham is gonna talk with Joe Dukar. He was gonna do something out of it, he was gonna mulch all in front of his, bar. And they talked, and there's conversation that he may have, he may donate some money for the mulching portion of this project. So I don't know what the final numbers will be. In talking with Chuck, we're gonna ask for this to be approved. If Joe Dukar and the Campbell Foundation are gonna help pay for some of the mulching, then maybe the number will come down a little bit. But for all intent purposes, they're gonna ask for the original amount. So that amount may change, and we may know more before you vote on it as well.
I'd just like to say, I hope council takes that into serious consideration and votes to pass that. That's gonna look nice down there, once it's all done, and, it'll make our town look beautiful. So I hope it does pass. I hate to see us be the only ones that,
Well, if I could touch on that a little, sorry.
pardon me?
I thought you were done. I said, sorry. But I was gonna piggyback on what you just said, if that's okay.
Okay.
I was asked to talk to our solicitor. I called Nicky Kasiorek, government, and I asked him, does this have to go out for a bid for something for the Steel Valley Enterprise? And his answer was, the rule of thumb is any taxpayer money has to follow the Pennsylvania bidding thresholds. And I sent the Pennsylvania bidding thresholds to Chuck Starrett. He took that, and under those thresholds, this would need to be bid out. So they took it as Munhall saying it needs to be bid out. That's not what I said. I was telling them what the roles are for municipalities and tax dollars to be spent. That was taken, and council said no. Well, I talked to Chuck Starrett today, and I talked to Bob Cherub and Cindy Bond of West Homestead yesterday, and I just told him, I asked him a question, and he gave me the answer of what the rule of thumb is. If their solicitor feels that this money is not tax dollar money because it's passed through dollars and they're coming from another arena, then it wouldn't follow, it wouldn't be taxed. If they consider it not tax dollars, then they don't have to follow the zone. So the bottom line is, this isn't coming out of our pockets, this is the enterprise zone. That organization was put in place for a reason.
It's a nonprofit
My
organization.
suggestion is, pass?
Okay, that doesn't need to be put up for bid, from the legal advice you received today.
I just have one question, Mayor. If Homestead don't come through and pay their third, they don't want the baskets, who pays for them?
No. If West Homestead approves it, and Homestead comes back and said, you know what, we're voting no, we don't want this.
But we're still
And
gonna put flyers in.
Munhall says, we're voting for this, we want this, then it'll happen. It's a two out of three.
Well, it
So
comes out of
if-
the tip money, it's not.
If
us
Homestead
picking up
says,
every
we
piece.
want this, and Munhall says, we don't wanna spend that money on that, we're not for that, it's gonna happen anyway. So it's gotta be a majority.
We endorsed that organization, we put 2 delegates on that, in that organization to help run it. Rick, you're the chairman, correct?
I'm the chairman of the TIF
Right.
board, of the TIF, right. And
yeah,
Rich is there as well. Rich and I are the representatives of the TIF. Harvey and I are representatives of the enterprise zone. There's 2 different little entities right there.
And I believe that if the question wasn't asked whether this needs to be an RFP or not, this would have been passed immediately.
Well, there's questions there, right, and now Homestead's questioning whether it needs to be put out.
Stanley Letterman knows more about the enterprise zone than the other solicitors. I would suggest to take his word, that that's not tax dollars.
So, that's that in a nutshell. Moving on, I wanted to speak about a couple things as well. First off, I wanted to talk about the parking meeting. I was not at the parking meeting. I was notified of the parking meeting by Bob False, the restaurant owner, False's restaurant. I would have liked to have been at that meeting, and I still believe that I'm the chairman of the parking committee. So, I don't know if I'm still the chairman or not, but I was not privy to the meeting. Secondly,
I wasn't either, I found out from you.
I called Rob and told Rob about the meeting. I didn't want to say that, but
Okay,
But-
I said it.
so this leads me back to my conversation that I had here a month and a half ago, which I was told by counsel that I was not permitted to go to the committee meeting, and the attorney agreed with that, and he said that you don't have to be invited to the committee meeting. I said, okay. He also took
It's not that you're not permitted, we didn't say you're not permitted.
I was told I was not invited, I was not permitted to come.
Yeah, but you're not,
Like,
you see what I'm saying?
I wasn't invited.
Yeah, but you're still permitted to come if you knew
If
about it.
I don't know about it, I can't come.
I think you were there.
So,
You're a mind reader.
and furthermore, in speaking to that subject, a committee meeting is supposed to be open to the public. It's supposed to be advertised to the public so that public people can come to the meeting. Not just people that we choose to ask to come to the meeting. It has to be a advertised meeting for all public people to come. Thirdly, the solicitor, I asked him, I'd like you to help me because I don't agree with what they're saying. And he told me that I'm not your solicitor, I'm council solicitor. And I took that as okay, that's another slap in the face. So I went out and sent a letter to the Mayor's Association, and I'm gonna give you a copy of the letter that I was given back. I have a copy of the letter for each one of you to take and read. And you can read it, discuss it, whatever you want to do with it. Throw it in the garbage if you like. There's 2 there. You want to grab one? And here's a couple we can pass out to the people. Just so people can read it as well, get my opinion. Well, Thank you. So if you start reading the letter out a little bit, it tells you pretty much who it's from. He's the president of the Pennsylvania Mayor's Association. His name is Jim Nowak, James Nowak, I believe. And I had two questions I asked him about. You know, first question is the relationship between the borough and the solicitor. And the next one is does the mayor have the right to attend the council meetings? And he addresses both of my questions to him. And I don't know that I need to read the whole letter right now, but what it says in a nutshell about the first question is that as a general rule, the borough solicitor shall prepare or approve, if directed or requested to do so by council or the mayor, any bonds, obligations, contracts, leases, conveyances, ordinances, and assurances to which the borough or any department of the borough may be a party. Which is what I asked him. I said, why need direction? How do I get that? He told me he's not my lawyer. He's not my attorney. As far as the whole letter going forth here about, in short, is a mayor allowed to go and attend meetings? In short, a mayor cannot be excluded from a committee meeting of council. Under the letter and intent of the borough code, he is well within his legal rights to refuse to leave if requested to do so. I can't get requested to leave if I'm not asked, Rich. So, if I'm not aware of a meeting,
No, I just said,
I'm just answering you. And in the letter, it's a very well-written letter. I'm not gonna read the whole entire letter. But it certainly addresses it, and I waited before I addressed this back to Munhall Council because I didn't have a legal opinion. He also is a solicitor, is an attorney. He also is the president of the Mayor's Association. And, you know, it's just decency to talk to me. I would like to, you know, help any way I can. But if I'm not gonna be spoken to, and if I'm gonna be ignored, then it becomes a me against you. And I'm trying to work with you guys. If you don't wanna work with me and be ignorant to me, that's fine. But I think you have an obligation to invite the public to the meetings. If you want to be ignorant and not invite me, that's one thing. But when you don't invite the public, you're breaking the borough code laws, and they're the laws of the state, Pennsylvania.
I think you misunderstood me.
I'm not talking to you directly.
I said, you're welcome to come to any committee meeting that there is. And I know nobody told you about it, but I'm just saying that you're welcome to come to any committee meeting.
Well, thank you.
Joe, could you, I think one way we can resolve this a little bit. Joe, could you, on Friday afternoon, not just to the mayor, but to all of council, I know council's under restrictions for committee meeting, only 3 can attend, but the mayor can, I understand, can attend the meetings, he doesn't included. Could you share a meeting schedule on Friday afternoon for the upcoming week with everyone, so we can see, you know, what's coming up, what's going on? Would that be, would it be reasonable to share that schedule? And that would help resolve that part of the problem. Like Friday afternoon, just say, okay, on Monday from 10 to 12, I'm meeting with boom, and there's a meeting of the Public Works on Tuesday at, 12 o'clock. I mean, the chairman does have the right to schedule the timing of the meeting. So.
The particular meeting we're discussing, I didn't even know about it. It was.
No, the rec meeting,
Right, the rec meeting, yeah.
We had it in your office.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but, and we were well within our rights to do that.
I mean, it was
Because
kind of an
it was an
impromptu thing. that was
According
put together.
to the Office of Open Records, I think you have a copy of this, do you not?
This is, it reads it. This is,
Okay,
the
well,
letter
if you go all the way
the
through,
letter
if
quotes
you read
it.
it at the very end. Read it at the very end. We voted on nothing, this was a discussion we had, that's all it was. And you're making an issue out of it because you weren't invited. I'm sorry you weren't invited. I mean, this is something the three of us wanted to sit down, get it over with, and talk about it.
And
And
that's
there
a-
was nothing voted on.
And that's a violation.
It is not a violation.
And it clearly
It is
speaks
not
to
a
this
violation.
in here.
Yeah, it's very clear right here, I have it. I have it right here in front of me.
The letter that I just gave you?
No, I have a copy of the open records law. Okay, the sunshine law.
And it says, clearly states in there
I'm not
that
gonna argue with
a
you.
committee meeting has to be advertised to the public.
If it's a voting committee meeting.
We never advertise.
Well, I think maybe our solicitor should give you another legal opinion.
I think
And if it
you're right.
continues, then maybe a judge will have to give us a legal opinion.
Maybe.
Maybe so,
Maybe.
I'll do. Because obviously,
I have it right in front of me.
oh, good.
Does the borough have paid for cell phones or iPads or something?
Sure.
No more.
We have cell phones.
We have our own personal cell phones.
No, I don't have a cell phone. I mean, I don't have a borough cell phone.
Earlier, we had iPads.
iPads.
They just-
iPads are not existent. They were purchased in 2012. They're, outdated. I never took one in the first place. I never accepted it.
I never
But,
used it.
and nobody ever used them.
No.
Council.
We never had.
So-
Why did you vote on it? That's
What?
how many thousands of dollars of iPads.
That was
If you
voted
don't
on.
have it, it doesn't.
Oh.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, this something happened 6 years ago, 2012, let me clear it up. It was voted on to purchase 10 iPads by a prior borough manager. I personally didn't vote for it. It was I think it was a 6-1 vote at the time. I didn't feel I needed an iPad, I never accepted one. I use my phone or my home computer, when I can.
You
But
know
it was
how to-
10
you know how to do
purchased,
it.
and most of us didn't use it anyway, so they were non-existent. I don't even know where they are. Are they in the garbage now? Do we?
Sure. No, they're probably down in the room.
Yeah, they're locked up in a room. We don't even use them. And that, I
On
mean,
the
it's nothing
website,
council should have.
is there a private portion on the website for the council members and borough member to access for a calendar or something?
Yeah, there's a calendar on
No,
there.
he's asking
All
for some
the
private
meetings
that
are-
we
all
don't
the
want.
meetings, you
No.
put that meeting on the calendar so everybody can see what's going on?
I asked this calendar to be shared.
We need to
Share it on the council
calendar.
meetings, mayor.
Rick, I only meet twice a year.
I think that's one thing we can
Next one I
resolve is
have,
by
I'll-
sharing a calendar.
Only
I
twice.
think that can
doesn't
help.
exist.
When we need salt, we'll be back to us.
It does not, at this time I'm asking it, it does
This body
happen.
doesn't know what each party is doing and when the meetings are, what's going on, who's coming in, that doesn't exist? Really?
That's what has
I don't
to
know what
change.
you're asking.
I
He's
think
trying to
we-
modernize everything, like make it electronic.
Yeah, we have a
Everybody knows
finance
everything.
meeting
That's
every
all.
other
Yeah.
Tuesday. Everyone knows about that. We don't need to put that on the schedule. We know when these are already pre-planned meetings that we have.
Tuesday before the regular meeting.
Or a councilman or myself, if we have another meeting, we normally send an email out to say, hey, we're gonna have a meeting at this time.
Most meetings are upon need. I mean, every committee doesn't have a monthly meeting. Public Works may not have a monthly meeting. Recreation, well, we have a recreation board, a lot of that's done there, and that's advertised. The rec board does have a meeting, and it's attended by the rec chair, the mayor goes. I've attended many of the meetings, Jason has. Putz has came to some, Harvey, we all have. The rec board meets monthly, and that's the rec board is in hand with the council. There are meetings special that can be called sometime for public works or for public safety, but those are not regular scheduled meetings. They're all pretty much upon need by the chair and by the people on that committee. Or if Joe brings up an instance, hey, I think we need a public safety meeting, and then the chair then calls for one.
If I can add a couple things.
Sure.
So, let me preface this by saying I'm the finance chair. In my meeting, I do make sure it's open to the public. It's on the calendar. It's the second Tuesday of every month. In fact, I go so far as when we're not having it to make sure that Joe or Becky cancels it on the calendar because I don't want anybody showing up if we're not going to have it. Now, that being said, I do that just because finances are particularly sensitive to a lot of people in town, and I want as much transparency as possible for that. But as far as these other committees go, because I used to be the chair of Parks and Rec, and I've been on other committees, not as the chair, but on Public Works and so forth. And according to the letter Rick just gave us, section 1003C, attendance, the mayor may attend any and all regular and special meetings of council. Council meetings, you have to have a quorum. And I really don't want to go down this rabbit hole again that we did last month, but these committee meetings only have 3 members of council on it. There isn't a quorum. There's no decision-making involved. There's no policy setting involved. They are acting as an advisor, such as our solicitor does. He's not involved in these meetings, but he is an advisor to us. Now, the final note I want to make, we were up at conference last month, Allegheny League of Municipalities. I specifically went to at least a dozen different municipalities, primarily around us, and asked the managers or council members, your committee meetings, are they open? Because I wanted to make sure, like, hey, if we're doing something wrong, let's address it. Unanimously, every single one of them said none of their committee meetings. So my finance meeting being open to the public is the exception. None of these other towns have any meetings open to the public. In fact, they looked at me and they said, no, why would we? I said, well, I don't know. I'm querying the group. Yes?
I do understand what you're saying there, but as a taxpayer and a lifelong resident here, we have a mayor that wants to be involved and wants to know what's going on. And I, for one, am really happy about that. And I am not saying anything against Mr. Bodnar. That it has nothing to do with him. I'm just very happy to the few meetings that I have come to, and now I'd like to come to more to see what's going on. I'm very happy to know he wants to know what you guys, what's going on, how he can help. And I think if we all work like a well-oiled machine, and I'm not saying the public needs to know, there are certain things, no. You have meetings, we all, I understand that. But if the mayor would just know so that he could be involved if you wanted to be involved or if he wanted to be at the meeting, just so he stays on the same page. He knows what you're thinking about doing or what's in the plans. I think it's best for all of us, and especially as taxpayers, to have you guys work as a well-oiled machine. That's just
Communication needs to improve.
and I do appreciate what you just said earlier about wanting to get the calendars. I was very happy to hear that. I think that's great to start communicating really well. And I think we're all gonna do better if the mayor is included, and I think he represents the people, so do you, but I think if he could be involved, he'll be more helpful to you guys also. That's my opinion, and as a taxpayer, I appreciate that.
I think most of you understand committee meetings. There's a committee for many things in the borough, finance, public works, recreation, and public safety, and so forth. I'm ex officio as the president of all the committees. But if the committee, we're not allowed to have more than 3 council people, Mary, you don't count, you can go to any meeting. But I can only go if one of the members of that committee cannot attend. Because if I attend and I would make the 4th, then we are breaking a sunshine law. But the mayor can attend the meetings, and I think we just need to open it up, and, the communication needs to be there, and we're not trying to hide anything.
Can I make a comment to maybe enlighten you a little bit, Jason? Did you read the letter?
Not in the amount of time I've had to sit here.
Okay, so the letter speaks to this specifically. Because of the provisions of the Sunshine Act governing public notice of committee meetings, you should always be aware of the date, the time, and the place of every Munhall Borough Council committee meeting, Subsection A, entitled Meetings of a Section 709, entitled Public Notice reads, an agency shall give public notice of each special meeting or each rescheduled, regular, or special meeting at least 24 hours in advance of the time of the convening of the meeting specified in the notice. And the word agency is defined in Section 703 of the Act to include not only the council of any political subdivision, but also all committees thereof authorized by council to take official action or render advice. And that's what you're doing. You're rendering advice. You're meeting together, you're sitting down, you're rendering advice to the council, to the full council. And that's how that reads. So,
Yeah, chief.
I just want to, the parking meeting, that was on me. I'm the one who scheduled that meeting. I speak to the mayor on a daily basis. I thought I informed him of that meeting. I scheduled it with Becky. Becky gave me the 2 open dates, or we wanted to do it on a Monday. And the reason I wanted to do it on a Monday, because 2 of the business people that I asked to be at that meeting own hair places on Main Street, and they're closed on Monday. It was a day they couldn't attend. Like I said, I speak to our mayor pretty much every day. I thought that I relayed that date and time to him. Obviously, I forgot. I apologize to him already. I apologize to the rest of you for having to hear that, because that's on me.
I mean, I
But,
just, we just
you
need
know,
better communication.
what I'm gonna say is I was tasked by everybody in this room with contacting certain business people. I picked who I wanted, who I thought would be productive in the meeting. I tried to pick a person from every block of the business district, and we only had 1 no-show, and he told me as he was cutting my hair last Thursday that he just plain forgot. Apologized up and down. So we had a good quorum for that meeting. No, I don't want to say quorum, that's the wrong word, but we had a good group for that meeting.
There was no quorum.
There was no, yeah.
Rich and I
We had
were
a
the
good group
council
for that
people there,
meeting
so there was no quorum.
who sat down, worked it out. I spoke to the mayor earlier that day. He was out, he wasn't even in the state that day. He was upset that I didn't tell him. I thought I did. That's on me. So, just so we're all clear.
I think we just need to move forward, that's all.
I think we need to move forward, just improve on communications, that's all.
As a private citizen, I would like to
just want to say one
request
thing, after Susan.
that this matter is investigated, because the last thing I want to do as a taxpayer is pay for any legal defense.
We want no
for anybody
embarrassment
out
upon
here,
Munhall Borough, you're right,
because-
Susan.
What's that?
We want no embarrassment upon Munhall Borough.
Exactly. I
And
don't-
drag
I
to
don't
any
know
personal
what
fights
happened prior
between the
to
mayor and the
tonight.
council.
We've been lax in coming to the meetings, I realize that, but, Jason, I would caution you that, just because somebody else is doing it doesn't necessarily make it right. So I would, request as a private citizen that this matter is investigated to make sure, the sunshine laws are very particular. And yeah, it sounds like there were decisions made at the parking meeting, so.
Well, the decisions at the parking meeting were just discussed, and they were brought up in front of all of council tonight.
They can't vote on
But
nothing.
There
the
was
public
no-
wasn't invited either, I think is one of the other points of the sunshine law. So I'm just saying, as a private citizen, that I don't want anything to happen to you guys, and I think you should look into it.
So just to follow through on yours, okay, what I'm reading from it, from the Office of Open Records, it's Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, Open Meetings Law.
It's
Okay,
gonna
this
fall
is-
on deaf ears, because I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, this comes at the very end now, after everything else, this is at the very end of it now. It's about executive session meetings, we'll go past that. It says, closed gatherings may also be held solely for the purpose of collecting information and educating agency members about an issue. Okay?
That's right.
The supervisors, okay, Fordor, because they were held for informational purposes only and did not involve deliberations.
You're correct.
No official action can be taken during executive sessions or closed gathering meetings. All official actions must be taken during public portions of the meeting.
You're correct.
Okay.
You're reading about a conference. It's a
I know what I'm reading.
It's a conference on educating people, correct?
You just, it
It's
is
not a
not,
committee
it's a
meeting.
committee meeting. It's a committee meeting.
No.
Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna argue with you anymore.
I'm
And I
not
agree
either.
with what you're saying, Sue. I mean, we did have legal advice. Our mayor doesn't believe what our solicitor said. I mean, I think the solicitor has 20-some years of, experience. That's
I'm not
all I'm
arguing with you
saying.
anymore either, Joe.
Excuse me?
I'm not arguing with you anymore either.
Okay, good.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to say something.
Eddie, you gonna argue?
It's very disheartening to sit here and listen to all this disrespect. If nobody else wants to say it, I'm gonna say it. I was here at that meeting when what was said to Rick was, you weren't invited.
That's right.
No, I didn't.
Mary?
Yes.
No.
No, that's what you
You know,
said,
I
Joe.
I said you weren't on the committee.
No,
I really don't wanna make this
I
an
make a motion,
argument.
we adjourn.
I believe we did come to a conclusion that
Yeah.
we are going to improve our communication the mayor is invited to
Yeah,
committee
really.
meetings.
Thank you, Rob.
And I'm a believer, you are invited to the committee meetings. Joe,
Yeah.
send a calendar out,
Whatever.
weekly. You know, we're not here and we're not going to do any exclusion games or anything like that. And we're not, but we are, communication needs to improve.
We have a motion on the floor?
There's a motion on it.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Rich, second by Buzz. Meeting adjourned.